I'm Holly Joe, here with Greg.
Hi, Holly. Thanks for joining me.
Greg, so you have a free offer, right?
Yeah, I have a free offer. For years as a solo lawyer, I was outgunned by the state, and so I'm working to level the playing field.
Greg, I know you're passionate about this. How do you level the playing field?
The way we level the playing field for lawyers and criminal defense lawyers is by making them stronger, which means that they make more money, they have more resources, and so then they can really bring the fight to the prosecution.
I like that. What's your special offer?
If you're a law firm owner and you want to increase revenue, then you can join a free session with me and learn how I did it.
Wow, Greg, what is that worth?
The normal rate for that would be $775. The value of it is much greater than that. The value may be worth $5,000. There may be $5,000 worth of information just in that one session.
So how do you sign up?
If you're interested in doing the free offer, all you have to do is go to prosperatlaw.com. That's prosperatlaw.com, and there's a button on there, schedule a call with me. Or you can text the words solution to me at 843-602-5480, and I'll set up the session for you.
So that's a free session with no obligation.
Absolutely. It's just free help. I'm not trying to sell you anything. In fact, even if you wanted to sign up, I wouldn't let you do it on that call. It's just a session to help you so I can show you how I solve some of these problems.
Wow, that sounds great. I would definitely do that. You are listening to the Prosper Law Podcast. Learn how to reduce stress, have more time, and make more money. Come on in.
I'm Greg McCollum, and I built a 7-figure criminal defense law firm. I formed Prosper Law to show criminal defense law firm owners who are desperate for success how to grow from under $200,000 to $1 million and beyond.
Hi, Greg McCollum here with another edition of the Prosper Law Podcast. As you know, Prosper Law coaches criminal defense lawyers, small law firms, how to grow and succeed. If you're listening to this podcast and you're a criminal defense lawyer and you're not living your dream life and you want your life to improve, there are things that you can do to change your life. There are things that you can do to move toward your dream life. I'm not going to tell you that you can just sign up for a program or snap your fingers and have everything you want in 90 days. That's bullshit, okay? It takes time to move toward what you want. And the other thing is, if you've been doing it a long time like I was, it takes a long time to unlearn certain patterns. In other words, I think I was practicing a couple of decades, and so when I started learning new things, what I did in my routines and my patterns, and that there were two patterns. There were the things I did all day, and we'll talk about that. In other words, my habitual pattern of getting up and going to work and doing those things. But there was also the thought pattern. And so to break out of that, I had to break out of both of them. I had to break out of the thought pattern of negative thinking, scarcity mindset, and those things. And then I also had to change my routine, because the routine that I had employed for 10, 20 years got me exactly where I was, which was doing okay, but not doing very well, no real path to growth, no way to really improve my life. Some people call it running on a treadmill or something like that, and that's probably a pretty good analogy. And so I'm cycling through this routine, and at the end of the week, I'm exhausted and worn out because I'm doing everything. I'm not working on my business at all. I'm just working in the business, trying to survive, trying to keep my head above water, so to speak, and that sort of thing. But then there was also the thought pattern, because I believed certain things, and those things weren't necessarily true, but I believed them. So to change that, I had to change the way I thought, which meant I had to learn certain things. I had to go out and learn something new. And even before that, then I had to develop the belief that that could change. And if you look at me when I was running a law firm and when I did the 10-year study on it, when I first started coaching, and my coach at the time said that if you're a solo practitioner, he said you have enough blood and sweat in your body to produce about $250,000 a year in gross income. That's about what you have. And when I thought about it, I thought, well, my practice was up and down. I think I'm better than that. And I went through the numbers and I averaged it. And so for 10 years, the 10 years before the coaching program, the 10 years preceding 2013, my average was $220,000 gross, $220,000. So was that good? Okay, so I'm making about $100,000, which is not bad. It's pretty good. My quality of life, though, was that I didn't have any time. And I had problems. Every day I went to the office and I just put out fires and things erupted. It could never relax because there was always something undone. Something was like a jack in the box was going to just pop out at me and I have to solve it. And it takes a lot of resources to solve that. And that was it. That's what I did. So really the money wasn't terrible, but the lifestyle was ragged. It was ragged. And so if you're in that situation, in other words, where if you just started your practice, then, and you're listening to this and you're looking for other things, then you're doing the right thing, because you can start out the correct way. If you're like me and you've been doing it a long time, it's actually probably harder for you to grow and break out of that because those patterns are so ingrained in you. It's hard to break a pattern. It's hard to make a new routine. And it's also, you're further behind, even though you've got a reputation and you've got clients and people know you. Mentally, you're further behind because you just, for you to think a new way, for you to change the way you think, and fundamentally for you to change your beliefs is very difficult. And that really is the key, is you have to somehow start to believe there's an alternate universe, there's an alternate reality, that you don't know everything, and that what you've been doing, while it's not wrong, is gotten you where you are. Whatever your station in life is the sum of all your decisions and your actions. So I want to talk a little bit about your routine and what is your routine. And I also want to talk about the idea of, say, the 5 a.m. club, the 5 a.m. club, if you know what that is. Everybody that's in these growth circles, everybody talks about it. If you go on the Facebook or the internet and talk about it, these kind of things pop up to me all the time. I don't know if they pop up to you or not, because I don't know what you're looking at. If you're obsessed with sports and your entire newsfeed is sports, or if you're obsessed with politics and your entire newsfeed is politics, or you're interested in other things, that's what the internet's going to give you. So this may not apply to you. This may not be something that you see and read about. But for me, I see it constantly. My newsfeed is so geared toward success, and people are always giving me advice in these short clips and things like that. And the 5 a.m. club is the idea that to be successful, you get up at 5 a.m. And then a lot of people, get up and then they do a cold plunge. And other people have different situations where they meditate and then they maybe exercise, and they do different things, and they do it every morning, and they attribute their success to that. And so if you listen to some of these gurus and people that are selling this, they say, buy our program, follow this, get up at 5 a.m. and do these things, and you'll be successful. And what I want to talk about a little bit is that true? is that a good thing to do? Now, I didn't do the 5 a.m. club, and I didn't do the cold plunges, but for probably a solid 10 years, I woke up pretty much every day, usually 7 days a week, at 5:30. And I would get up at 5:30, and then I would get outside of my house and start running. And I would do that 3 times a week. So at 6 o'clock, I've got my running shoes on. If it's cold outside, I've got on my toboggan and I'm wrapped up, and I have my earphones in, and I've stretched a little bit, and I'm relaxed. And what I would do is I would run from my door, and I live about 3 or 4 blocks from the ocean. So I run from my door to Ocean Boulevard, where there's a section called the Cabana section, which there are no hotels or anything there. So I'd run down that. I'd have my turnaround point and run back, and then wherever my stopping point was over near the beach, then I would walk home. Then I'd go inside and get ready for work, jump in the shower, shave, do whatever, and then grab my 2 daughters who had to be at school when they were young. You know, the school, we had to have them there at, 7:30 in the morning or something like that. So then my wife would make sure they were ready, and then I'd grab them and would run out the door, and I'd drive them to school, and I'd drop them off, and we would get there early so we weren't in the long car line. So it was being more efficient. And then my office is almost right across the street from where the school is, and my house is a mile from my office. So I had this tight little triangle, so I'm dropping them off at school, going to the office. And so then I'm at my office before anyone else is. I'm at my office at, certainly before 8 o'clock. And that's my routine. And so I did that all the time. Now, on the days that I didn't have to run, or I didn't choose to run, usually at that time I would get up and exercise in the morning and do yoga in addition to that. So this is what I'm doing. And if you ask me, did it work? It must have had some effect on me, because I'm listening, I'm reading through Audible, through my earphones, I'm reading books. Everything I'm doing is focusing on growth. And I'm just pumping that into my brain day after day after day. And there's a huge benefit to that. And then what I didn't have, other than the coaching program, which met 4 times a year, what I didn't have other than that is I didn't know anybody, and I wasn't friends with anybody, and I didn't have mentors and people that I could talk to. So I was frustrated. But over some period of time, and also if you read my book, From Chaos to Control, you'll see a lot of the other things that I was dealing with, which were, these life kind of catastrophes that we all have. Really, I think sometimes people say, well, you've been through a lot. I say, well, everybody's been through a lot. I don't think my life is any, better or worse than anyone else's. It's just how you deal with it. So if I did all of those things, would I be where I am now? And the answer is probably no, because once I got to work, I was just working in the business. I was trying to grow the business. I was trying to do things differently, but I had too much in my life. And in order to do something better, I had to subtract something. And if I didn't have the right people in place working for me, and I hadn't taken myself out of the so-called daily grind of working in my business, because at that time I was still doing at least half the cases in my law firm. And if a lawyer worked for me, we worked on things together, and then they would have a problem or some crisis, and they would expect me to handle it. They would expect me to step in. If there was a client that was difficult, or there was an impasse with the case, they would involve me. Also at that time, I was doing all the client conversions. I met with every single potential client, and every potential client that called, whenever that happened, I would drop what I was doing. I would take that phone call, and then if they were coming in, I would meet with them. If they were going to hire us, sometimes I'm the one, taking the payment, and I spent a lot of time on that. So then at the end of the week, what's changed? Well, I've maintained my level of health, which is very good. But how has my business grown? Maybe just incrementally a little bit. And nothing ever really changed until my coaches told me, get some white space, get out of the office, carve out some time where you go somewhere else. And what I would do is there were two places in Myrtle Beach. One is this place called the Marina Inn, and the other one was the Marriott. And I'd just go sit in the lobby of the Marriott with my laptop, with my notes, and sit there and try to think about the things I was learning and try to think about what I could change. Now, half the time, my office would have a crisis. They would call me and interrupt that. Or because I was doing it at the Marriott and I have this, I guess, attention deficit or something, and people are walking by, it's distracting to me. And so I'm looking at them, and so it would break my chain of thought. But I was still at least out there trying to have a routine. And whether you're in the 5 a.m. club or not, it's more important what you do when you get up than it is what time you get up. And so I'd ask you to think about that. I'm a morning person. When I wake up in the morning, I have my head is clear. I can think as long as it's quiet. And those are when ideas come to me. Those are when I have the revelations. And that doesn't happen every morning, but when it happens, it's powerful. So I'm a morning person. I like that. Are you a morning person or are you an evening person? Because if you don't want to get up early and you don't like getting up early, and when you get up in the morning, you're in the fog as opposed to me, which I'm in clarity, because I'm in the fog in the afternoon. After I've made decisions all day, after I've dealt with things all day, after I've done all my tasky things all day, certainly by 4 or 5 o'clock, I'm winding down. If I've had a stressful day, even at 3 o'clock, I'm starting to lose the ability to think and focus. And that's one of the reasons that a lot of the kind of the meetings and things like that, just there are a lot of just basic meetings that we have to do. And so a lot of those things, I push those to the afternoon, because talking on the phone or doing a Zoom meeting or meeting with people on my team and things like that, or even meeting with, say, the representative from the TV station that runs my commercials, it's just easier. It's a low impact kind of event. So I would say, ask yourself, are you a morning person or are you an evening person? And if it works for you in the evening, then use the evening. If it's in the morning and say your house is, you have children, you got pets, you got dogs, you got things going on, and it's just kind of chaotic. That's one of the advantages if you get up at 5:30 in the morning is no one's up for a while, so you have some quiet time. If you go a little later, then and that's kind of, family circus kind of chaos in a good way starts happening, and your kids are getting breakfast and they can't find their shoe and that sort of thing. That's not quiet space. That's not going to work. So what happens with some people, as you know, is then they go to work early because they get to work, at 7 o'clock or whatever time it is. And say they get there at 7, the office at 9, office opens at 9. So they've got the quiet time then. Other people do the opposite. So if you are really better in the PM, then say your office closes at 5 or even 6 or 5:30 or 6, a lot of people will stay late. And they stay late to get that quiet time where they can exhale and start to work on it and start to think about things. So there are two things here. One is that if your family in your situation where, and you could be single and have a dog, and you got to go home and let your dog out, okay? Or you could have children that are home from school, and you're going to have dinner with your family, so you need to be home. You're not going to sacrifice that, nor should you. Or you may have a lot of people, have elderly parents and things, and it could be anything. So then you could be in a situation where morning will not work, late afternoon, evening will not work, middle of the day will not work, because your office is such a kind of chaotic entity. So then what? Okay? So then what about the weekends? Can you do it on the weekend? Can you go either Saturday or Sunday to a place that's quiet and think about changing your business and growing your business and things that you need to implement? And it's really that simple. Is you learn something, you get somebody that can teach you something, somebody that knows what they're talking about, and then you have some things to work on to implement. But you don't just go flying into your office and run in your office and grab your computer or whatever and just start tearing through it. It is crucial, if you're really going to have any kind of growth and peace of mind and real success, it is crucial that you slow down. And if you have this quiet space and these quiet times, sometimes you're going to go there and your mind is going to wander or something's going to happen. But just creating the space so that you routinely, at the same time and the same day or multiple days each week, if you at least get in the routine of doing that, even if it's not productive, it will become productive later. And sometimes there may even be a growth process that you go through, whereas when you first start doing this is so different than anything else you've done. And so you're so conditioned to doing tasks and just the labor that you cannot even take your mind off of it. But if you go and do this and you're thinking about all the tasks that you need to do, and you're trying to organize how much you're going to get done, that's not productive. You have to force yourself and keep forcing yourself to think about what you want. You have to, and this is probably something that certainly if you're my age or close to my age, or even in your 40s, you've been working a long time, it's probably something you've never even done since you were a child. It's crucial that you get quiet. Say you have a pen and paper, and think about, what do you want? What do you want your life to look like? What do you want your house to look like? What kind of car do you want? Have you always wanted this lush swimming pool? Have you always wanted to take a trip with your family, to Europe or the south of France or some exotic island, and you put it off? And then what do you want your day to look like? And what do you want to do all day? You have to think about it. You have to daydream about it. And this may seem counterproductive to you, because we're all conditioned that, I'm not getting anything done. I'm not getting anything done. It's the exact opposite. You're getting everything done. To think about what you want. Think about what you want to do in life. You think about when your life is over and you look back at it. Did you have a life of just running from station to station, everybody pulling on you, everybody tugging on you, always being worn out and ragged? Or do you want to sit there and say, I really built something. I really did something. I really developed a company that allowed me to take care of my family and to take care of my employees, and I had some impact in life. So you have to sit there and think about it. And this transition it takes some time, and you have to be committed to it. Wherever you find your space, and when you pick your space and time, be careful, because if you have a court calendar or certain things that you know are going to happen, that's not a good time. Don't pick that time. Carve out some sacred time. When I first did this, I think I'd carved out maybe 2 hours a week, just 2 hours a week. And sometimes I got there a little late. And sometimes maybe something would happen and I would have to leave a little early. Or sometimes I would just get frustrated because I was so worried about work, I'd just go back to work. But pick a time that you can hold like holy and sacred. And then after a while, and after you do some things and start to free up some space, then your life will start to change. Your law firm will start to change. In some regards, just the fact that your people can't call you with every little problem that they think they have, and they may actually have to solve something in your absence, is growth in and of itself. So think about your routine. Do a mental audit. Do you get up, go to work, everything happens at work, what you do all day, go home and do whatever you do, and then this routine just repeats and repeats and repeats. If you've been doing that for a number of years and you keep doing that, then nothing in your life is going to change. You are going to be exactly in the same place next year, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, that you are now. In order to grow your firm, you have to have this space. You have to have this white space. And another thing I would like to talk about is who and what is keeping you from this. Is it your spouse? Is it your children? Your dependent parents? Is it your pets? Is it something else? And the solution there is, and if they're interfering with your life, it doesn't mean you don't love them. It doesn't mean they're bad. But what are you doing for them? And can that be done by somebody else? In other words, if you're the person that goes and gets groceries, or you're the person that cleans your house, or you're the person that mows your own lawn, if you're the person that washes your car, that's a simple solution. You can buy some time. You can buy back some time. You can hire somebody, and if you've listened to other earlier podcasts, you know about your hourly rate and your daily rate. Anything that you can offload to someone who will do that stuff for you buys you back some time. And there are a lot of things that we all do that somebody else can do. And if you're doing it to save money, you're not saving money. You're costing yourself money, because your ability to grow your business and work on your business far exceeds what you're going to pay somebody to wash your car. You can pay somebody to go to the grocery store for you. You can pay somebody to manage your house. You can pay somebody to clean your house. And if all those things start coming off your plate, now you have bought back some time. Now all you need to do is know what to do in that time. Now, if you don't have any kind of training, if you don't have things that you listen to and learn from that you're going to implement, then there's nothing to do in that space. So you have to have the plan, the thoughts, the ideas of what to do. For years, I remember my friend and I, Kirk, would sit around and he would want to talk about how to grow our business. And I said, the problem with that is we don't know what to tell each other. Okay? Now, I could tell him now, I could tell him now exactly what to do because I've been through these trials and tribulations. So I've learned what to do. And I've learned from a great number of brilliant people who have taken time to answer my questions and help me. And I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars learning from some of the best coaches in the world. And so now I could sit down and explain to him what he's doing wrong and how to help him. So you have to get that knowledge. And where do you get it? Okay? And it's one of the reasons I started Prosper at Law, because one, I was looking for a criminal law mastermind. And honestly, I know there's some masterminds out there, but not the way I'm talking about. And I was looking for a criminal defense lawyer coaching program, and I couldn't find the one that I wanted. And so I've started this one. Now, fortunately, I've gotten to the place where right now I'm approaching a multi-seven-figure firm. I had to figure all that shit out myself. And I'm still figuring out things of when you go up to a higher level. And so I did that, and so I can share that with you. And that's something, if you're interested, you have to think about it, because David Nagel calls it giving up something of a lower nature for something of a higher nature. Stop doing something that's not as good and start doing something that's better. And the more you replace things of a lower nature for things of a higher nature, and the more you spend that time, and the more your life improves and your firm improves, it starts to become like a flywheel, and it starts to spin faster and harder, and then you start to get some momentum, and it's possible. Thank you for listening. Audit your life, audit your time, audit what you do in your mind, and see if you keep doing what you're doing, where you're going to be next year. Thanks for listening.
If you want to know more, go to prosperatlaw.com. We show criminal defense law firm owners how to reduce stress, have more free time, and make more money. Thanks for listening.